We'll start with a small prayer. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudramarutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramopanisadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavasthita tadgatena manasa Pashyanti yam yoginaha Yasyantam navidusura suraganaha Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. In the previous class, we were familiar with how this Atmanubhuti or the Brahma Vidya or the knowledge of realizing self is a wonder. Why is it a wonder? There are many reasons, particularly one reason being that self is realized only by the self. Self is realized only by the self. There are many expressions that we do through actions, through speech, through our thought. Everything is understood, comes to the terms of comprehension through our intellect, through our mind. We are able to gather information through our sense organs. Sometimes we try to analyze and then, take some conclusions through our intellect. But this one thing is wondrous because self cannot be comprehended by mind, cannot be comprehended by indriyas, sense organs, cannot be perceived by intellect. Yamaivesha vrunute tena labhyaha, says Shruti, says Upanishad. The chosen one is chosen by the self, and self is revealed to that chosen one. Is it something superhuman, omnipotent, omniscient? Yes, you can call that. But when you call that way, it is always an anya feeling, the other element kind of feeling, which is not. The truth is you yourself. There is no anya, there is no other element. This is self, this is here, this is now, this is the truth, this is me. It is a wondrous thing because self comprehends self. The Upadesha of Guru is transmitted from his mouth to the hearts of a sadhaka, of a shishya, of a disciple. Although there is transmission happening from mind, intellect, indriyas, all these things are in action, yet, the self in the Guru transmits the information, disseminates the knowledge, and the self in the Shishya comprehends. Hence, it is a wondrous thing. Ashcharyavat pashyati kaschidenam. Ashcharyavat vadati tataiva chanyaha. Ashcharyavat chainam anyashrunoti shrutvaapyenam vedana chaiva kaschit. That was the previous shloka that we did, 2.29. Hence, it is wondrous, and it is also a wonder that although so much of efforts are being put, we are listening, continuously listening to the Shruti Vakya, continuously listening to Upanishads, the fables of Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita's systematic, categorically given verses. Although we are doing all these efforts, we don't know yet. We haven't realized yet. Why? Still, we try to put the understanding unto the parenthesis of intellectual understanding, perception through mind, That is why we are trying to do it. Hence, although after so much of listening, so much of scholarly studying, swadhyaya, we don't know it yet. That's what we saw in 2.29. Now it is 2.30. Dehi nityam avadhyoyam. Dehi nityam avadhyoyam. Dehe sarvasya bharata. Dehe sarvasya bharata. Tasmat sarvani bhutani. Tasmat sarvani bhutani. Natvam shochitumarhasi. Natvam shochitumarhasi. Natvam shochitumarhasi is the divine message. And we have seen that repeatedly, continuously. Bhagavan Krishna uses this word, Nattam shochitamarhasi. Do not grieve, do not grieve, do not grieve. Grieving is not a natural thing for us. This is not our swabhava. This is not our original being. It's not natural. That's the word. It is not natural. Hence, while grieving or getting angry or getting fierce, all sorts of havoc happens to the physical body. Starting from the breath, to the blood pressure heightening, to the pupils getting red. All sorts of unnatural, unwanted stress reactions are seen. What are these signals? Signals saying this is not natural. Oh, this is not you. My dear, what had happened to you? These are the body's signals. I was talking to the yoga instructor course participants. Why prima facie the body is giving such stress reactions? We'll see that. At some point or the other, the inner being knowingly gives the message that something that had been said, perceived, or done wrong by us. Something or the other. Or when that truth is being faced, then there is grievance. Oh, not necessarily if somebody is worried, somebody is sick, somebody is in terrible pain. Out of compassion, you can grieve. Yes, that is also possible. You worry for them, but you don't grieve. The problem here is anushochatva. You don't worry again. That's the clue. When the mind starts to worry again, when the mind starts to think repeatedly, there is a problem. Swami Dayananda Saraswati says, funnily, he's a very funny Swamiji. And I was fortunate enough for 7-10 days to learn Upanishads from his direct self. So he used to say, crackpot, we have this crackpot. we see the pot as pot because we're all crackpots. We don't see the pot as the earth. Hence, we're all crackpots, he says. When there is any problem, we forget this vital information that Upanishads and Gita gives us. Dehi nityam avadhyoyam. The indweller of the body is immutable, cannot be destroyed. The problem occurs only when we find ourselves in the body. When we are in the body, then we mistake ourselves as the body, as the roles that we play through our body. And then all the world's worry start to flow into our life. And then repeated thoughts, repeated worry, because of that attachment, Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho bhijayate krodhat bhavati sammohaha sammohat smriti vibhramaha smriti bhramshat buddhinashaha buddhinashat pranashyati. Bhagavan Krishna has this systematic formula of how the genesis of misery happens. What is the phase? And then you know which phase we are in, where we have to work upon, and then you just have to reverse it back. So he gives the phase. Phase number 1. Repeated thoughts. I used to give this usual example of the gramophone. It so happens it gets stuck at one point of time. And there's no music. It's just noise, unwanted. Exactly same, we have this gramophone up here. And it is not stuck once, it's stuck in different places. We have created our own blocks and knots and started repeating those thoughts again and again. That's the first mistake that everyone does. Why mistake? Because repeated thought creates sanga, attachment. Oh, attachment is good. We're all attached to one ourselves. And hence, we are a loving person. No. Attachment is quite contrary. It's not love. Love, when you say love, it is always pure. Attachment is impure because when you attach yourself, there is one thing that surely comes off. which is expecting. At least this bit of expecting love to be expressed back, or when you repeatedly think about a person or a situation or anything that you have to accomplish, or it's just a target, or it's just an outcome that you have imagined in your future, and then you try to acquire it by repeatedly thinking it over. Unfortunately, you don't acquire because attachment emerges out. And while attaching yourself, you're always frustrated. Because you cannot acquire things out of attachment. You shall win with love. Without attachment, without expectation. Third phase, from attachment, sangat sanjayate kamaha. Why is that attachment is impure? Because it gives rise to intense desire. Buddha talks about this, All the worries are because of desire. But Krishna is 2 steps ahead. Desires are because of attachments. You have vested attachment in that situation. Oh, when I'm away from my, so-called relatives, I'll be happy. You have fixed that. And then attachment, it was because of continuously thinking, oh my God, I have to just get away from these people. Then only I'll get peace. So Krishna is just 2 steps beyond Buddha. Intense desires spring out only when you attach. Attachment is not just wanting things what we want. Sometimes it can be rebellious. It can be not wanting at all. That is also attachment, because you have huge ragadvesha, huge attractions and repulsions formula in your head. Intense desires again leads to non-accomplishment, hence frustration, even if their desires are accomplished. Tell me one point of time in your life where your desire is accomplished and you were happy. No. The problem with the desire is when you have accomplished, then it starts to stink. It starts to seem it is weak. It starts to feel bitter. Yeah. Like an unexpressed love. Oh my God, that lady love is so beautiful. I have to just go and tell her, And it so happens that the boy, after so many years of beautiful, cherishing moments of unexpressed love, one-sided love, because the very sight of the girl is giving him bliss. The moment he expresses and everything is falling into place, he becomes the man, she becomes the wife. What happens later? What goes wrong? I've seen many people like 13, 15 years of marriage and then divorcing. What went wrong? Which means accomplishment of desires also makes you frustrated. Because after all, we are behind that Sangha. We are behind that expectations plus attachments. Not the real objects, not the real people. Anyways, now, kamat krodaha abhijayate. Because the desires are unaccomplished, or even if it is accomplished, it's not fulfilling, hence you are frustrated. You're angry with yourself, or you're angry with people. You're lonely and hence angry. I've seen people who shows anger because they are lonely. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha. Anger feeds in delusion. You live in a world where you don't understand. You do see things, but you don't understand how you see. Because the point of accepting things as they are is lost. You're completely deluded. You're wearing spectacles, pink, green, yellow. You're seeing completely different things. It was not your fault. You've already passed 5-6 stages of misery, no? Sammohat spriti vibhramaha. This particular thing really pisses us off. Where did I keep my keys? Oh my God, today was Wednesday. Huh? This happens. No, we are not into Alzheimer's and not into dementia, yet this is happening. This part of intellect starts to damage, loss of memory. There we get the signal. Oh my God, why am I forgetting things lately? But most of the damage is done already. Some smriti bramshad buddhi nashaha. Slowly, the loss of discrimination happens. You start to worry about things which you don't have to. You start to give prominence to things which are completely futile in nature. You start to approach things which are reasonably not so useful for you in your life. All sorts of major, what do you call, major faults, major flaws in your decision making happen. And Krishna says, mind you, my dear, you are a human. And why is a human different from an animal? How he is? He is different only because of his intellect, intelligence. When intelligence is lost, when you cannot decide things properly, when you cannot perceive things properly, where is humanity? You are leading an animal life. Getting up early in the morning, brushing the teeth, going to the office, picking up the travel mode of transport, going to the office, finishing off the files and all the assignments of the world, and then coming back, brooding over the past, thinking about the future. Oh my God, I'm insufficient of this. Oh my God, I'm loss of this. You know, this is what we are doing. This is how an animal lives. Always in fear. Oh my God, I might be eaten by someone. No, there's always fear of survival. Cut to short. When there is repeated thought in your mind, when there is gramophone stuck in your head, remember, you have to replace it with the nice thought. Like start Ramanama Japa. Rama 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 Ram. Rama 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 Ram. Or Om. 11 times Om. Have you ever seen the Indian bell that we do in the puja? It's so strong. And while you ring that so strongly, moments later, when you keep that bell down, that ringing resonance of the bell will pull down all the negative thoughts. Agamarthantu devanam gamanarthantu rakshasam kurve ghantarvam tatra devatahvan lanchanam. It is, the ringing of the bell is to bring in positive forces and removing all the wicked ones out of your head. No. There's so many methods. Be aware, Krishna says. Don't grieve. Continuous worry is grievance. The repeated thing is a problem. When the thought is coiled, you be aware, he says. It's a serpent, no? Serpent is always coiled. Now, Natom shochitum arhasi, do not grieve. So I just could finish the last part of the shloka, the first part of the shloka. Dehi nityam avadyoyam. The inner indweller of all the beings, be it animate or inanimate, my dear, be it living thing or non-living thing. Veda is into yoga instructor course. My daughter, she asked me a question. Is self there in the non-living thing also? Such a huge revelation at the age of 15, 16. When you hear this, I can understand, because that's when I could get such piece of information. I could understand the awe that is struck in her. When that indweller engulfs us inside and outside, be it living or non-living, that very thought itself makes you, wondrous, feel that wonder. Anyway, so that indweller, though dwelling inside, is immutable because he is everywhere. He is omnipresent. Krishna says, when you see your people, don't see them as your people. You see them as indweller, just as I see. Just as I see. Why aren't my friends no friends? Why aren't my foe no foe? Why are they equal? Because I see them as self. I see them as me. Tasmat sarvani bhutani. It is not in one being, my dear. It is in all beings. Life, lifeless in all beings. This indweller is indestructible. Just as I say, Akasha, the space is omnipresent. You will find space inside the body too. You will find space outside the body too. You will find space where you don't see the atmosphere at all. Where there is no mixture of gases, there's no air. Even then there is space. Where can you point out with your finger where there is no space? How can you destroy it? How can you make it go whoosh, disappear? Who fathered it? How did it come into being? When will it go? No answer. No answer. No is the answer. Now, how do you practice this lesson into life? Especially when you are made to live in a desert, don't run away. Don't try to escape. Find a way to live in it. Gandhiji used to give many spiritual practices as suggestions. And he also practiced in his day-to-day life, like Rama Nama Japa, just as I did, Rama, 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 Ram. It will quieten your mind, That's what he did. Reading the scripture. Bhagavad Gita used to be his mother, he said. So whenever there is a pull and push in the British Empire, he opens the Bhagavad Gita and then watches, Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. That's what I've seen. You have to be free from intense desire, fear, and anger. This is my lesson. This is what I have to practice. That's what he did. Above all these spiritual practices, he also went into fasting, naturopathic fasting. He wore Indian fiber, khadi, natural fiber, all the natural methods. Apart from all of these, he said to the people at one point, I don't even desire for independent India anymore. Now, people got him wrong. But it is the Karma Yoga attitude that he had in his head. After a certain point in his life, the freedom struggle through non-violence that he was preaching, that he was doing, was his spiritual practice, became his spiritual practice. And hence, whatever he ventured, he was not expecting that outcome. And hence he was successful. It is an uncommon method, no? Wherever you see in European history, in American history, there's always a revolution happening. There's a coup d'etat, and then comes the administrator, new form of, whether it is democracy or whatever, new form of government. But with India's independence, there were revolts, but only through non-violence we got our independence, we got our liberty. An uncommon method tested and proved successful. How? Only with that spiritual intention. Many people also misunderstand Gandhiji. Many people also take him to be right. Forget about all his personal life thing. We should take what we have to grasp. Like the swan. If you keep water and milk mixed before, swan in a bowl, there's a saying that it could grasp only the milk part of it and leave all the water in the bowl. Have to test. I saw a few swans in Romania. Have to test them. Anyways, the principle of I am not body idea, has to be practiced. Have you ever had the opportunity of reading the book Viktor Frankl, the Jewish scientist who survived concentration camp and his life? In his book, he categorically writes this. At the point that all the persecution, guillotining, massacring, torture was happening, it was an inner message from this person that I have to witness all these things to endure. And then he started to distinguish himself from the body. That's how he could survive. He has written this. Can you see that essence of Vedantic thought there? I am not the body idea. It's the same with Socrates. When Socrates was about to drink the poison, there were a few people around. He pushed all the women outside the room because there was so much crying and he wanted it to be peaceful. And there was few young lads around him, his disciples. Plato mentions this in his stories. There were a few young lads and they were also wailing, lamenting upon. And Socrates was saying, oh my God, young women were much better. So it so happened that one of his disciple, again a young man called Crit, stood up and then asked Socrates, how do we have to burn or bury? Or what do you have to do with your body? This man is still alive. He hasn't drunk the poison yet. was about to drink. Yet, Socrates, you know what was his reply? He says, for that you have to catch me, the real me. How can you catch the real me? Oh, you're referring to this body. Oh, you can do anything to this body. Now do all those things that you do with the other bodies in this world. You want to bury, you bury. You want to burn, you burn. The idea of I am not the body is making him peaceful and then drinking that poison. All the philosophies that you see in India, Bharatiya philosophies, there might be many branches called Siddhantas, many branches. All of them unanimously agree in one particular thing. I'm not the body idea. Dehi, Deha, Vibhaga. There is a difference between your body and you. That is exactly what you have to incorporate in life. When there is good music and your body starts to swirl around, see what is happening. Look beyond. Who is the seer? Like Totapari. Totapari Maharaj talked, gave the message to Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Look beyond. Who is the seer? Stay. Stay with that. Look beyond. Similarly, there is an insult, a major insult, a major miserable thing happening is pain in the body. Look beyond. Stay. You tell me one thing. You have attended a few of my yoga classes. What's the difference? What's the difference? The difference is that when you stimulate yourself with some stretch, it can be spine, it can be hand, it can be glutes, knees, whatever it is, however it is. You do it with breath. Yes, that's one major difference. Most important difference is after the stimulation, what do? You perceive your body. What is it I'm making you do? Is it not, I'm not the body kind of message that I'm giving it to you? Don't you see? Vedanta is the theory and yoga is the practice of it, my dears. If you don't practice it, even if you sit for hours together for meditation, is not yoga, it is not dhyana, it is not meditation, mind you. Cultivate that attitude, look at the body, which means I am the onlooker. And what happens? When we go a bit further, what happens? You had some mild discomfort with the continuous squats in the knees. Oh my God, that was terrible today. And then you were focusing on the knee, focusing on the knee, focusing on the knee, focusing on the knee. Where did the pain disappear? How did it disappear? I didn't do any magic. When you are with the onlooker, all miseries vanish. Yogo bhavati dukkha. There is no misery for a yogi because he knows this. He practices this. Yoga is complete only when you get this I am not the body idea. I think I can take one more shloka. 2.31. Swadharmamapi chavekshya. Swadharmamapi chavekshya. Na vikampitum na vikampitum arhasi, dharmyadhiyuddhat shreyonyat, dharmyadhiyuddhat shreyonyat, kshatriyasya na vidyate, kshatriyasya na vidyate. First, we will know the second line's meaning. Dharmyadi yuddhat shreyonyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. Krishna says for a kshatriya, kshatriya is a clan, the protectors of the society, or one who protects the values of the society, the kings, the administrators. No? If they don't protect the values, what will happen to the nation? No? So they are supposed to be the value protector of the society. He says to a kshatriya, waging the war and bringing back goodness, settling out the evil, is the prime duty. The prime duty. If you don't do the prime duty, what happens? There is no Shreya. This is again a terminology that I have to explicate in detail about this. It also happens that this term Shreya occurs in Kathopanishad with a pair called Preyas, Preya and Shreya, Shreyas and Preyas. You know? Now, there are certain things in life that comes to you very adorable, sweet, and then at the very point of meeting, in communion with it, you find, oh my God, this is so blissful, this is so nice. And then slowly it turns into poison. Yeah, I'm aware of it. I'm well aware of it. Such things are called prayas or preya in English. On the contrary, there are certain things in life which comes as bitter as possible. Very strong. Deniably taken, untaken. And then slowly imbues itself as a life lesson. No? That is Shreyas or Shreya in English. Now, if you are a less matured fellow, all the decisions that you take in life will be choosing prayers over Shreyas. And then every time, oh my God, why is this happening to me again and again? It is happening to you again and again because you have to learn from it. Don't choose. Choose Shreyas. Oh, how am I supposed to know that this is Shreyas and praise? My God, Lalitha, you're so terrible. You will know it from your inner being. Okay. If I don't know how to tap my inner being, what is that? Then observe what is your swadharma. If you are an administrator, you have to protect the values of the society. That's your swadharma. That's your dharma. What if I don't? You will be the sufferer. As simple as that. No, I am not high in morals, I take things very easily. I just have to make money, like the most available politicians, all over the countries. Even then you will suffer. Suffer through Adija Vyadhi. Adija Vyadhi, psychosomatic ailment. And then at deathbed, There is so good, fast rehearsals of life happening. Rewinds and flashing back. All these things happen. And then we get to know. So Shreyas is that which is condescending with, which is compatible with your swadharma, with your original nature. It's so obvious. I have to tell the Hindi speaking fellows, no? Jnana gives you the knowledge of Swarupa. Dharma is your Swabhava. Now I'll put it in English. Self-realization will give you the awareness of who you are, truly, the truth. But Dharma is your original nature. Original nature. We mistake our original nature to be, oh, I'm a talkative fellow. Oh my God, I'm a connoisseur of art. Oh, I'm short-tempered. I'm light-headed. No. These are all just emotional facets. But our original nature is being right. Why is that we are happy when we serve the society? Why is that when we are happy when we play with the kids, the orphan kids? Why is that we are honestly happy when there is acknowledgement of an innocent man, or while watching a movie, the right person succeeds? See, you see, we cannot get away with this. Even when we think of a least moral personality, least, what do you call, how do you call it? Completely non-righteous personality, who has no importance to morale, no importance to behavior, right behavior whatsoever. Even for them, even for that person, because our original nature is same. Go with your original nature. If you're a teacher, Brahmana, that's your class. You teach, you enlighten, you work with yourself and get enlightened. That's your nature. That's your original nature. If you are an administrator, you have to protect the values of your domain. I'm not talking about the nation. If you are a CEO or if you're managing things, you're a manager, you have to protect. Oh, it's very difficult. The situations are different. Then you are the sufferer. You are going to suffer. Instead, somebody was asking me, you want me to be blunt to people on their faces? And I just said, Lalita, one statement, you put the ball into the boundary. He's a cricket fan. So he says, when I said, Satyam bruyat priyam bruyat, you have to speak the truth, but in a sense that the person who is hearing is loving you. What happens to a counseling session? In a counseling session, what happens? The counselor is listing out all the possible faults of your own self. You must get offended, but you're not. How is the counselor putting it? You see the difference? If you are a person who serves the society, then servitude should be your swadharma. That is Shudra. If you are a businessman, if you are dealing with goods import and export, sales and purchases, or making something, manufacturing and or congregating things and then selling it, the integrity is your swadharma. If you grab hold on to this swadharma, then you will always opt for right choices, praise, not praise. You will not fall for praise. Hence, Krishna says, Arjuna, you are a Kshatriya. You have to protect the value of the society. Now, the opponent army is not your brother, your kith and kin, or your grandfather. They are evil and wicked people falling for the wickedness. Enough opportunities of peace messages have been given. This is the time to act. That's the second statement. First statement is Swadharmamapi chavekshya na vikampitum arhasi. You stick to your swadharma. You stick to your original nature. Na vikampitum arhasi. Do not stagger away. Do not slip away from dharma. I'm bringing Sri Ram's story again and then finishing off. Rama had all power to stop the injustice that is happening to his life. It was completely unjust. He was a kind man. He was an able administrator. He was very good in economics. He was very good in archery, warfare, tactics. He had all the good qualities. He was ready for that crowning event. He is not crowned as a king. He was just crowned as a prince. No? You put yourself in a place where all the years of education you've been putting efforts to become a chartered accountant or a scientist, astrophysicist, whatever it is. Suddenly, life gives you a turmoil, so many deaths in the family, and then you're not able to perpetuate in that line, in that field. What will you be doing? I betcha you will be talking the same stories to your grandsons and granddaughters. Wailing, lamenting. Life was very unjust to me. It was very unkind. People didn't care for me. I had to make so many arrangements. I have to sacrifice this thing. Ram didn't once in his life, he didn't lament. He had all the atrocities one can have in a life. All the cruel things had happened in his life. Why? How could he not stagger away from Dharma? What was the reason? When I know the reason, then I'll be able to follow my Prabhu better, follow my leader better. The only reason that I see in Rama is he is absolutely sure that only by following Dharma, one can be happy. Nothing else. How is he sure? How is he sure? Because he was taught so by Vashishta, by his guru. It is not belief system, dear. Not one Indian philosophy believe in belief system. Everything is evidence-based. You experience and then you know. You experience and then you know. This is what he did in his life. He was absolutely sure because he incorporated in his life every time. He was 16, not even 16. This sage Vishwamitra comes up and says there are around 150,000 Rakshasas, demons, who are disturbing my sacrifice, yajna, sacrificial act. So I want you to protect. There are a huge army that Dasharatha can give. It's a huge army that Dasharatha can give. But he wanted only two, Rama and Lakshmana, the brothers. To do what is right, he can, even when at the budding stage, young stage, he can leave his house to do what is right. He incorporated. And second time he left, left Ayodhya because of the Satya. That's the story that everybody knows. From the very budding stage of life, young stage of life, he started to practice in life. And then he knew. What he knew in his heart was so sure. The entire Ayodhya people, that was the night where you have to cherish Rama. You have to cherish. It was the same Kaikeyi, same mantra, same guru who wanted Rama to get the kingdom back in Chitrakuta. They're all coming. They're all coming with Bharata. If he had thought about it, okay, just because 200 people say this is right, this can't be right. Can't be right. I know what is right because I've practiced that. And it did so good to me, good to other people too. That is how he knew it. That is how he is absolutely sure. That is how he is, what do you call it? Global sensation. Global sensation. And even now, even after centuries. Thank you. Questions?